And we need fresh water. That's better. Oh look. Hi. What are we gonna start with? The horizon line, usually. It's like 2/3 of the way. Should I use tape? Maybe that's a good idea. Yeah. So let's start with the sky. I'm adding quite a bit of water to this part because it's the first layer. And it makes it easier to layer the paint later if you keep these first ones quite thin. And then while it's still a bit wet, you can sort of see the sheen on there still. I'm going to add a bit more variety in the clouds, and I'm doing it while it's still a bit wet to keep some soft edges. Looks a bit more natural. This section here, I kept it a little bit lighter to make it look like the weather was a bit clearer over in the background and the clouds were starting to roll towards us. And then I'm going to blend this into the sky above it so it's not so stark. It won't matter as much in this bottom section because I'm going to paint the mountains over the top of that. I'm using the direction of the brush strokes to create the sort of striated, wispy cloud effect. Look how much it changes in value once it's dry. It's so much darker now. So I might put some more light across there. Now hopefully that's enough. We'll just let that dry and then come back to it. So I think we'll leave the sky like that for now. It will end up being a bit lighter as we put those bands of rain in. Now let's move on to the distant mountains. So we want the mountains to be darker than the sky and also a bit slightly warmer. That's a bit too dark, I think, especially given that that's going to be the mountain that's further in the distance. Here I'm just adding some different colours to create some more variation. Now that the mountains have dried, we can start to layer in these bands of rain coming through. And I'm going to put them down before I do the ocean because I want it to look like it's happening back there. So we'll then, once the bands of rain have been put in, we'll come back through to make sure we've got a really crisp line across there for the ocean. So then it looks like the rain's back there and the ocean is in front of that. So the rain's like approaching us from the distance. So we're going to want a whole bunch of white and some of this colour that we've already mixed. It's probably best to test it, isn't it? So now let's just try on here. Might need to be a little bit lighter, like that. Let's give that a go. We can always make it lighter over the top. So I'm going to separate the bristles a little bit here, just to give it more of a chance to get that streaky look. There we go. Improvised fan brush. You can see that dry brush effect has worked really well there. And I might keep it like that for this initial layer, because it might make it look like it's further in the distance. Let's get some more blue in here. More burnt umber. Darken it up. Yeah, that's better. Rinse my brush off and I'm gonna blend that colour in a bit. So it's quite a damp brush. Now, because gouache reactivates with water, you can go back into a layer that's dry and sort of blend a new colour in over the top of it. Now what I'm going to do here is, instead of adding more paint, I'm actually just going to go with a damp brush and go back over some of this paint that's already on there, just to give it a bit more of a transparent look, because we do want to be able to see the mountains behind it. So you can see here that it's actually taking off some of that light paint, and it is mixing a bit with the layer underneath, but because the layer underneath was already dry, it's not taking that off as much. And I want to just redefine these hills a little bit. Now I might just let that dry and see where we're up to, and then see if we need to come back in with some more layers of rain. Well, I forgot to press record for this bit. Still getting used to it. Anyway, here we go with the water. Trying to get a straight line here, and the tape sort of pulled the paper up a little bit there, so it's hard to get that nice finish. This is a bit dry now. Oh, it's pretty much dry. Now I feel like, to give it some more depth, I do want to bring some of these rain bands, maybe from this cloud, because this one would be the closest, to make it look like it's raining from there. But I don't want to cover this up too much, so this could be a mistake, but I'm going to do it anyway. And now it is time to work on the ocean. I want to make it look like this section here is a bit shallower, So I'm going to lighten it up a bit, add a bit more yellow into this mixture, because it sort of suggests that you can see the sand through the water. And now I want to suggest some waves by adding some darker, more blue sections. Start with some thinner ones out here. I'm sort of following the shape of the strokes that I had already made. So now we have a bit of a wave composition. I'm going to add this section of rock in. So we can start adding some warmer colours now. I'm going to start really dark and then start to build up the warmer lighter colours on top. Here I want it to look like this wave is crashing sort of around this bit of rock here. I'm going to move it towards me to give it that sense of depth. I think it's really fun to not completely mix the colours together on the palette, so that when you apply it on the paper you get these streaks through it. Sort of reminds me of oil paint. Now we're at the fun part where we get to put all of the waves in. So in my study piece, I started off with just some quick dry brush strokes across in the background area to give the suggestion of the wind sort of moving the water back there. So let's put that in now. And it's always a good idea to test out your dry brush strokes on another bit of paper first. I think that will do for that. You don't want to overdo it. So now I'm going to just get some, probably not quite pure white. For the ones that are further back, I'll mix a tiny bit of this mess into it to grey it up a little bit. So that makes it look like it's further back in the distance. And I'll just sort of touch the white along the tops there to suggest the white foam from the waves. Here I'm just using some really dry brush marks to kind of scribble almost, to show that the water in between the waves is also pretty turbulent. So as you can probably hear, it's like a super dry brush scraping along the surface of the paper. Oh, I think we're on the very final part of this painting. I tend to overdo the waves, like especially with the white. So I'm going to try and just not touch it anymore. Don't let me touch it anymore. And now that we've got some lighter areas in the water, I feel like this section here, the rocky outcrop, is perhaps a little bit too dark. So I'm going to add some lighter colours there. Hopefully you won't ruin the nice loose feel it has. And I might lighten up some of the rocks as well. Now the question is, do we add some little seabirds up in the sky to add a bit more life to it? Because it's a pretty barren landscape now. I might regret doing this, but oh well. Let's add some birds. Okay, here we go. Don't mess it up. Maybe here? Okay, this is stressful. There's a bird. And that one's a bit more distant. Do we just want 3? Maybe I'll just leave it at 3. Will I add white to them or just leave them? I'll just leave them. Okay, let's call it done. And now we can pull the tape off and see if it cooperates.